So we had a catastrophic loss of chickens due to the heat. We had a heat wave here. We had 3 or 4 days in a row where the temperatures were between 100 and 110 degrees with the quote-unquote heat index, but the thermometer certainly read 100. It was hot, and the birds in the past have fared well. I might lose a chicken or two, but this time I lost 60. And I lost them out of these chicken tractors here. Had plenty of water, didn't run out of water, had plenty of shade. It was just hot, and the sun was beating down on these things. So of my 150 birds that I started with, I had a fox come in. First time that's happened to this year. And the fox killed 15 or 20 of them. Didn't take whole birds, but was able to dig under the edge and then pull off a leg or pull off a wing. You know, so just whatever he could get out through his tiny little hole he dug. I assume it was a fox. I don't know that either. Some predatory animal. I just like to blame foxes. So anyway, lost a bunch there. That was like day 1 or 2 that we put them out here. Then 4 days before butchering, we had this heat wave. And it killed 60 birds, half of what I had left, in a matter of hours. So once my wife called me and told me that, you know, we had a couple dead birds, I came up here, coming home from work, you know, I came up here, and by that time it was 10 dead birds. By the time I pulled those 10 dead birds out of the coops, there were 10 more dead birds. And that's when I decided it was an emergency. Probably a little too late. So we moved them to shade, which I'll show you in a minute, down in my yard where we typically don't have chickens. I put an industrial fan on them, two fans, a box fan and a big industrial fan. And that's when they stopped dying. But by that point, 60 of them were dead. So they were dying in my hands as I was carrying them, putting them in crates to get them down the hill and into the shade. So, lesson learned, I will check the weather from now on. I mean, we've had 100-degree days before and didn't, like I said, lost a chicken. But now, for 100-degree days, I'll take the time. The day before, we're moving those chickens into the woods. I'll deal with the increased predator risk over the guarantee of hot death. So, as you can see, plenty of pasture. They were on nice deep grass. You know, I mean, look, that's a good chicken life. And I'll show you here in a minute what the pasture looks like where we moved them down the hill. Unfortunately, they just missed their last like 5 moves in this pasture, and I transferred them to the yard. So you know, waters wasn't the problem, feed wasn't the problem, it was just the heat. This here is the obvious path they took. I mean, already that looks like nice green pasture behind them. Here where they ended, you can still see there's a little bit of poop and stuff on the ground, but another rainstorm or two and that'll go in, and then all this is going to green back up. And as we walk, you can just see less yellow, almost no poop at this point. And now I'm back about 7 spaces, so 1 week of moves. And now we just have what looks like good pasture going all the way back. Greener than everything else. Jasper seems to like it. So anyway, I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing. We're just going to take appropriate action on rainy days. Or no, not rainy days, hot days. You can see it in my emergency moves here. Normally these tractors would be much closer together. But I tried to move them a little farther apart before I moved them to the shade, hoping that would increase the breeze. I was rigging up shade blockers here, like sticking posts in the ground around here and then stringing tarps between them. I was doing anything I could, but nothing was enough. There wasn't a cloud in the sky, and the sun was literally baking the birds in place. So my whole family pitched in. We got them into crates, and we loaded them up in the Kubota, and drove them, I don't know, it's like 100 yards, maybe. Probably not even. But we brought them down here. Let me open this gate. In the time it took to travel just this short distance, they were dying at the rate of 2 or 3 a minute. And we unloaded them into a couple tractors that I'm going to use for turkeys later on in the year. But I pulled them down here into the shade by my house. Got this these big overstory trees here, and that took most of the sun off. It was noticeably cooler here. And I had one in there. Well, I had like 30 birds in there. And then I had another 40 or 50 of what remained in there. As you can see, that's just one day of grazing. We were moving them around as best as possible. But as soon as I got them into here and got the fans on them, immediately solved the problem of them dying. So, you know, if I guess anyone can learn anything from what happened to me, if you see that you're going to have crazy hot days and you're raising them in pasture, if you're in a chicken house, there's not much we can do, right? But if they're out on pasture in shelters such as this or something similar, the day before that 100-degree day, find yourself, you know, get those birds moved while they're not stressed. Because losing half my flock is a huge deal. You know, if you're doing this to have an income, that's a good way to cancel out income. So anyway, that's what we did. All the birds are butchered now. I ended up butchering just over 80, but you know, could have been 130. So anyway, I hope you learn from my mistakes so that you don't make them. Have a great day.